Yeah, this is a room with a woman and a dog picture and some kind of strange sitting object in its middle. And when presidents would want to think about it, they can enjoy some plates and cutlery on the side of their thoughts. Well, hello, fellow geographers and map people. Today, something exciting. I know I always say that, and it's almost never true, but today it might be. I'll be looking, in light of the upcoming presidential elections, at the White House. This is not a political channel. This is also not an architectural channel. This is a channel that explores the world, period. The White House is a very famous building, a white building. And before I start going into that, yes, exactly, because that is possible for some reason or other, I will give you a few information about it, which I think are nice to keep, store, and later throw away from the back of your mind. So the idea of the White House, or that there should be a White House, was part of a bigger, let's say, master plan of Washington DC in the late 18th century, that Washington DC should become the governmental city and should indeed to come up with a master plan, such as Brasilia or Canberra or other cities Delhi did so later. Well, this master plan never really fully came into existence as far as I'm concerned, but the White House did. Some of you may ask, where did people live before? By people, I mean presidents. Where did they live before they moved into this White House? Well, they lived in all sorts of places. For example, in the Federal Hall in New York City and the President's House in Philadelphia. The President's House in Philadelphia looks like this, a little mansion. You wouldn't look at it twice walking past it. So I think, given the increasing geopolitical importance of the US, a new governmental building needed to be built. For that reason, the two architecturally enthusiastic presidents, George Washington and later Thomas Jefferson, announced a competition in 1792 that had 9 entries. The winning entry, which became the White House, was designed by Irish-American architect James Hoban, who then later, together with 3 slaves he deployed as carpenters, constructed this building. Not necessarily himself, but he is the architect. He envisioned it, he designed it, and he designed it based on the Leinster House. I think it might be pronounced like this, Leinster House in Dublin. This building looks like this, stands still nowadays, again as far as I'm concerned, and looks very much like the White House, only it isn't white. And also looks a bit different. I mean, actually it's a different building, but you can see similarities. Neoclassical architecture, inspired by Palladio and his villa, this so iconic building. And I think back then this neoclassical Palladian kind of style was very much seen as a style worthy enough of being the style for presidents. So initially the White House was referred to as Presidential House, but in the construction process, as it happened back then, the house took damage from a fire and was apparently repainted with thick white paint, terming it the White House, maybe by people or maybe by the president. Who knows? Nowadays it is a very iconic name, of course. I think so much for the general introduction, to have a few background information. I will now come to what I really wanted to do in this video, that is tour the White House. Now, some of you may ask, and rightly so, why is it even possible to tour the White House? Well, I think it has to do with transparency, with, open doors. There has been in 2012 a collaboration by the White House office and Google to, open the doors and show people what it's like inside, at least part of it. We will not encounter any presidents walking around, I can tell you that much. But apparently also recently last year, a new audio tour was designed for those people who, according to Jill Biden, cannot all come to Washington, D.C. and tour the White House. But it is, in fact, possible to do so with pre-registration, background checks. There are public tours. So I think generally nice. Maybe the same idea was with 10 Downing Street, as we've seen in one of the previous videos. But yeah, let's start. I would, as it happens with these inside tours, the street view imagery just looks a little bit confusing, like a child drew some lines on the map. But I think here on the east wing is where the entrance is. At least it looks like it. We're already here on the other side of the fence. The gates have been opened. And we can see that Google themselves made this. There's no, individual who was granted access. This is all corporate. So let's go in from this east wing and see what we find. I have really no idea. I am only afraid that I will get stuck, such as I am now already. Tja, is it my fault or whose fault is it? I really don't know. Here we have some images of President Obama, who was in office at the time, so I guess that makes sense. I don't think that Biden or Trump still have these images of Obama here, but maybe just portraits of themselves. Very beautiful, very wooden. You can tell that this building has seen a few centuries. But it looks very nice. I mean, this is some sort of entry area, so there would be a secretary here, just as displayed. And there would be someone sitting here. And there, I guess, would be someone sitting everywhere, and there would be cameras everywhere. And so on and so forth. We see already the garden, which is very green and very nice. There are doors open here. Doesn't mean that we can go into them. This is from 2016, so it is an updated version of the initial street view, I suppose. Obama in the garden, George Bush in the garden with two doggos, Kennedy and a Christmas tree. Well, you have it. Another image of George Bush, a proud American walking on a golf course. And here we have Mr. Abraham Lincoln in an almost life-size model. Wasn't he supposed to be the tallest American president? Just as some trivia there for you. Here we already have an image of Joe Biden. He was wasn't he the vice president when Obama served Ronald Reagan? But yeah, I came for the architecture, not to look at old-ish. I mean, not every president has been old, but most of them. So, we are already somewhere, but we can also be here in the garden. We came in from here, we walked through there. This is the garden, very beautiful, very tucked away, but I think there in the distance, you can kind of, maybe not, but somewhere in the distance there, the general public would always stand at this famous fence and, look at the White House from afar. So, let's go back inside if we can. I mean, if I can just say this, I think this way of how Google does it inside building kind of street views is not ideal. Somehow it is very confusing, can get lost so easily. There's no floor plan, you don't know where you are, you don't know where you can click, you don't know where you can go. So I think for a more analytical approach, going through it room by room, as I'm trying to do here, it's very tough to actually not get lost and confused. But apparently there's so much more to see, so let's just get right into it and click wildly through it. Very fancy in here. I don't know what it is with these empty rooms. I guess maybe you could receive guests here. I'm sure there are pictures of presidents receiving guests in such a room. Maybe there are press rooms attached to it, or, you know, kitchen, offices for more private conversation. Yeah, very nice, very beautiful. I mean, again, this is not my style. Maybe it is outdated for, you know, modern democracy to be in such a building. This could be a museum, and there could be a glass top built on it. I don't know. Something more, yeah, that fits the purpose more. I don't know. This is a bit too royal for me. I guess back then it was like this with presidents, but nowadays, beautiful. Do you hear the toilet flushing in the background? This is ambient sound right there for you. Yeah. Nice. It looks clean. This is not the kind of place where you would see a spider hanging in the corner, I guess. But I have to use this little map to get anywhere, and I don't really also. It's a more banquet kind of table. Abraham Lincoln by George Peter Alexander Healy. Cool. But I don't know if I'm just doing it particularly stupid or it's really hard to get around. This is the famous entry. I don't have to tell you that. You all know that. Very nice. The balconies. If there was a White House banquet, White House gala, you would be all arriving here or not. But yeah, I mean, what can I go anywhere here? This is just such a mess. Give me a second here. This is just getting out of hand. Ah, okay. Well, here we are inside, and yeah, I don't know even what, some office kind of room. The same portrait of Michelle Obama that we have already seen. I wonder to what extent they refurbish it for every new president. I mean, I'm sure you can utter preferences how you would want it to look like. But I mean, I don't know, they're not gonna change the whole sort of interior design. Oh, this looks like this corridor here, which I don't know, might be the basement. Looks like a metro station, which is pretty nice. I can, my body feels the imagined temperature differences between the two rooms. These like carpet book rooms seem so stuffy, and this granite marmor room just seems so airy and light. Yeah, this is a room with a woman and a dog picture and some kind of strange sitting object in its middle. And when presidents would want to think about it, they can enjoy some plates and cutlery on the side of their thoughts. So here we can, yeah, kind of go up or not. This is a little bit frustrating, this. I'm sure it came from a good place. I mean, maybe they arrived at the conclusion that many of the footage taken was a security concern for the White House or the president, so they kind of disallowed that you could see it, but it's still on the map. Alright, here we are again. This is the garden. You know what? I'm going into the garden. I've had enough. This is just frustrating me. I don't know why I thought you could just really move through the White House. To some extent you can. But this is just a joke. I was so hopeful. Oh. Have I been here already? I think so. Okay, I will now only go exactly where the arrow allows me to go. My problem with that approach so far has been that there's just dead ends. A red room. Exciting. Yeah, just dead ends, and somehow sometimes there were no places where one could go with the arrow. I thought I could see in the Oval Office. I mean, this is an oval space, but I don't think it's the Oval Office. Okay. I don't want to go there because I come from there. Can I at least go through here? No. But it's nice that all the art on the walls is clearly labeled. Exactly what I did not come for. I don't think anyone does. Okay, I can go back to the same rooms I came. Yeah, I wonder how this collaboration was for Google. I mean, initially it must have been like, oh cool, the White House, people will love it. Generates so much more clicks. But then, I don't know, it just looks to me like the White House had too many sort of like concerns in the end, or I don't know, this just looks heavily censored. I cannot see any of the things I would have liked to see. The bedrooms, the kitchen, the bowling downstairs, the Oval Office. Okay, since I'm always getting to the same spots, let me have a look in the garden. Ah, yeah. Beautiful view. Yeah, and down here is this fence I was talking about. And there in the distance is the... yeah, what is it? Is it the Capitol building? It's the street. Hard to say for someone who doesn't quite know so much about this area other than it is huge. Thomas Jefferson Memorial. Ah, this one might be, huh? Yeah, okay. So I can go all the way here. Garden. I mean, the garden is nice. It's a little bit of a waste if, you know, as a president, you cannot even use it because you are within reach of people at the fence. You can only drive around here, this court, guard booth, and back we are. Well, what can we take from this? This was not as much fun as it could be. The White House on the inside looks less desirable than on the outside, so who really wants to live there? But I guess nowadays presidents don't really have another chance. They cannot necessarily live only in their private residence. For the most part, maybe they can. And yeah, this concludes this exploration, so thank you very much for watching, and I see you when I see you. Bye bye.